My name is Rajni. Thank you so much for joining us.
Very much, Rajni. I look forward to our conversation today.
An organism on its own. And
Welcome to webinar Women Back to Work by WahWoman. Following other house rules during the webinar. Number 1, this webinar is being recorded and will be published on the website of WahWoman. Number 2, participants are required to mute themselves during the webinar. Number 3, please use the chat option to send your questions during the webinar. Number 4, please avoid sending irrelevant messages in the chat. Number 5, please be respectful to the audience and the speaker. If anybody indulges in any discriminatory or abusive behavior, then the organizers reserve the right to remove that participant from the meeting. Over to you, Rajni.
Thank you, Shreya, for explaining us the house rules. Hello, and I welcome you all to this global webinar on International Women's Day 2021 with the theme Choose to Challenge on the topic Women Back to Work. I am Rajni Vora, founder of WahWoman and host and moderator of the day. This webinar is being brought to you by WahWoman in association with our title sponsor, Focus Few, and supporting partners that includes Eco-Civilization, Women for Cyber Albania, Women for Cyber North Macedonia, Grandmama from Greece, On Purpose from Netherlands, Charlotte in Red from Luxembourg, and Riza Rodator from Brazil. It is indeed a great pleasure and honor to be joined by prolific and illustrious speakers and renowned women leaders on the panel, whom you all will meet in a short while from now. Let me also share with you that the journey of WahWoman also began same day 2 years ago, that is International Women's Day 2019, with an activity called the Creative Women Competition with best out of the waste plastic, where women were supposed to create some useful artifacts out of the waste plastic. This was organized with a bunch of women homopreneurs and micro-entrepreneurs and hugely applauded and cherished by all. The kind of response that we got post-event was phenomenal. That eventually led us to hold a series of brief conversations with women who participated in this activity and women who are active on different fronts. We started with micro entrepreneurs that gradually transitioned to small, medium, national, and finally reached global entrepreneurs and leaders. It is now a global platform to amplify voices of women across the world. We are proud to have featured women leaders and renowned personalities from 40 nations. Coming to today's webinar's topic, Women Back to Work, which is an endeavor to throw some light on the challenges often faced by women professionals who plan to join back post-maternity or sabbatical due to any personal reasons. We also support the theme of the year, Choose to Challenge, by helping women bouncing back to their careers, because getting a job can be daunting enough, but it can be even more unnerving post-break. Let me start this event by inviting someone who is an innovator in mind, socialist in heart, environmentalist in spirit, and liberal in actions. She's a great role model, a renowned leader, founder and curator of Eco-Civilization, Honorable former Deputy Prime Minister of Slovenia and EU Transport Commissioner Violeta Bulc, to begin this event with her golden words. Violeta, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Ranji, and thank you. I'm very humbled and really honored to be able to share with this incredible event with so many wonderful women, strong, very determined, and with a big heart. And I'm sure that there are many more in the audience. So let me share a couple of thoughts with you. Of course, the title is very provocative. And I have to say, I'm coming from this small country, we call it on the sunny side of the European Alps. which is called Slovenia. We were part of Yugoslavia, which was a socialist country, very much used to equal rights between women and men, equal opportunities, at least on a paper, with a long maternity leave of 12 months paid. And of course, that doesn't mean that we could not face, or we did not face, serious challenges coming back to work. I gave birth to two lovely kids, and while I was twice on maternity leave, both times I was also studying, running my own company, and returning very confidently after 9 months back to work. And but I had to pick up the threads. Life continued, even though I was busy being a mother, which was, I have to say, and it still is a wonderful job, or not job, a wonderful mission, a wonderful fulfillment. But at the same time, when you come back, of course, that absence causes some challenges in a way how you re-enter the job. My sort of advantage was that I constantly recreated my jobs. So I constantly was readjusting. That doesn't mean I became less ambitious, or that my customer base was weaker. But interesting enough, there is so much room in this business world. So if you really know what you're after, if you really know what kind of quality you would like to serve, and what is the quality that you bring to this life, and among people, and to your clients, to your friends, to yourself, then you will find that there is an incredible room for readjustment. So I don't think that any kind of maternity leave is a challenge, in a sense of that we should not go ahead and join, especially now that men are taking over a few months of paternity leave as well, and the businesses are getting more used to the fact that kids are something most natural, and it's something that we men and women need to take care of. It's not like the future of the society cannot be only on female shoulders. It is something we do jointly, and it's an immense pleasure to share this kind of responsibility and co-create family, the environment within which the family can evolve. So I'm inviting everyone to really go into these topics with a bit lighter energy, with a bit more vision of life itself. And really make it something that is as normal as any other daily activity that we do, or any kind of other business or managerial or leadership thing that we do. And we are not even asking ourselves, is this needed or not? Can we deal with it or not? So in that sense, I'm very much sort of grateful to life that I had this kind of vision, and I did not compromise and feel that being a mother is not allowing me to be a woman, to be an entrepreneur, to be a businesswoman, but rather contrary, it made me stronger, and gave me even a broader point of view on life, gave me more reasons why it's worth creating a better society where people are more equal in a sense of understanding and recognizing each other's quality. My position thought on this is always, we need society at the table. We cannot afford that, let's say 49%, as it's a number of male society on this planet Earth, can decide in the name of 100%. So, and you know immediately once you start paying attention, if in the solution that is presented to public, being a business solution, social, political, you know immediately it was done only by men, or it was done in a cooperation between men and women, because you see immediately that there is no female point of view. Yeah. And maybe our colleagues would say the same if only women are creating the solutions, but I will leave that up to them to decide and realize. But I can see it, and I will be very concrete. I mean, who on earth would put a glass floor that you could look from the floor below up? You know, this is insane. It could look nice. Maybe it is a great architectural innovation, but a woman would never do that. Yeah, because we know we wear skirts, we wear dresses, and this is just not acceptable. I mean, being very blunt in examples. So another example is, I mean, have you ever seen any office furniture being designed for women as well, in the sense that, do you have ever a place to put your handbag? And women always wear handbags. I mean, we always have things with us, yeah? But you know that this furniture has never been designed with the thought of equal opportunities or serving both types of clients. Yeah, so, and you could go on and on and on. I mean, these are just two really simple examples. So what my message there is that when we design, when we create, when we engage in setting up the environment, foundations for anything new to emerge, let's be broad in our minds. And whenever we have a chance, make sure that we understand that whatever we create for society. And while we are doing that, keep in mind that we are not perfect. And we make mistakes, and that is okay, because men make so many mistakes, but they are by far more tolerant to each other than we are to ourselves and to others. So women at business doesn't mean that women are perfect. It means that we engage with our competences to create a better world and to create a more holistic, a more system solutions that can really serve the society. And how to judge if we have overstepped this big obstacle? I'm following a little bit social media. I'm following also the political scenes. And I know that we as a society will really make a step forward towards equality and equal opportunity and gender equality when women will start voting for women, where women will really start retweeting and reposting female quotes and female posts. And I can say that I've seen positive improvements in the last few years. So, but that doesn't mean that automatically you do that. It means that if it's worth it, if there is a content, let's listen to each other, let's acknowledge each other, let's see each other, and make sure that we always try to create an opportunity where men and women can meet. Because I'm the first one who will say, I don't want to take over the world. That's not my mission. Yes. I'd like to be an equal partner in creating this new world, in making sure that we exchange our different points of view, because we are female, women, we are different, and men are different. We do think differently. And of course, there is a gray area where all this gets a bit mixed up, but only when we bring all these different qualities together, the sustainability and prosperity can actually have a place in a modern society. So this is my invitation to everyone to think about it, to join forces and really dream and manifest the future we would like to live together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Violeta. Indeed, very wonderful, profound thoughts you have expressed and very relevant in today's society, especially the point which you raised, of customization of office furniture, which should be made as per women needs, because now it is high time. It's not like that women have started working very recently. For last so many years, for last so many decades, we have been working. And still there is not even 1% of customization of services around women that we often see in and around us. So thank you so much for expressing your thought. And it is indeed always a pleasure talking to you and listening to you. Violeta, I really want to understand one question. And that question is around the topic, which is very close to your heart. So I am keen to understand the role of Ubuntu for women getting back to workforces. And for all those viewers who don't understand meaning of Ubuntu, Ubuntu means I am because of you are. So it is a new word. So please express your views.
Well, let me be very short on this one, but thank you for the question. Yes, I got acquainted with Ubuntu concept. I am because you are a few years ago when my colleague put it in her business model, and I started to investigate. And it's a powerful ancient wisdom from the southern part of Africa, where they really are, the communities live by this. In spite of all the challenges that they have, this meaning of I am because you are is so strongly present, and that helps them to overcome these incredible atrocities, challenges, and especially the challenges of the past as well. What we decided to do within eco-civilization movement is that we proclaimed together with colleagues from Zimbabwe, South Africa, Zambia, and neighboring countries, a year of Ubuntu, where we meet every month and we see how can in different professions this Ubuntu message create a better opportunity for everyone and inclusion based on which we all can capitalize. We've discussed it for the community circles, we discussed it for education, and in the end of the month, we will discuss it for the health workers. So a powerful message, and I'm inviting everyone. I know that the Brazil has an ancient history and has some ancient messages. I know that Australia, the rest of Latin America, Europe, we all have these wisdoms that it's time to reconnect with them, acknowledge them, and see what kind of value they are bringing and messages for today's and tomorrow's challenges. So that's, I love it, and thank you for the question. Indeed, Ranji.
Violeta, thank you so much once again, and we would request you to stay with us across the event if possible.
Sure,
thank you so
of
much.
course, thank you.
So moving on to the first topic of the agenda, that is challenges and mental blocks while joining back. Yes, friends, joining back is not as simple as it sounds, because when you pause, the entire world didn't stop for you, and the world contributes to change that in turn poses dilemma while returning to work. On that note, let me invite a very seasoned speaker with plenty of diverse experiences across different industries with a broad understanding of human life. She's an entrepreneur, creative strategist, independent director among Luxembourg top 100 women board leaders, public speaker, co-founder, and producer of Charlotte in Red. Please welcome Patricia Lucheta. Patricia, we welcome you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. And thank you, Violeta, for your very interesting talk just now. So Rajni has asked me to address the mental barriers women are confronted with when re-entering work after a maternity or a longer parental leave. Keeping this in mind, I would like to start with the concept of the so-called imposter syndrome. For those who are not familiar with the term, imposter syndrome refers to an internal experience of believing that you are not as competent as others perceive you to be. Everyone can experience this, but the prevalence among women is particularly high. A recent KPMG study has found that 75% of executive women across a range of industries identified having experienced feeling of inadequacy and self-doubt or this imposter syndrome at certain points in their career. And the study says that it believes this is commonly experienced by women across corporate America. I would dare to say that the same applies all over the world. To be honest, I have experienced imposter syndrome many times throughout my career and have started growing out of it only recently, and I will be turning 57. So I wish all of you to grow out of it much earlier, because there is no reason to feel incompetent. Now, if women who are active in leading positions are experiencing these self-doubts, imagine what it does for women who are getting ready to go back to work with the added guilt, for some at least, to leave their kids behind at daycare, or to say it bluntly, to not be a good mother or privilege work over children. Well, first of all, I would like to ask all the women out there to not feel guilty about feeling guilty. Again, out of my own experience, I think it is something very natural that we experience when we give birth. And second, don't feel that you are failing or that something is wrong with you just because you see images or posts of successful women who seemingly successfully handle career and kids and who always look perfectly dressed and manicured. Beautiful pictures are a shortcut, and I am pretty sure that everyone faces their own struggles when the camera is not there, and that is okay. So to go into more practical aspects, from my perspective, there are two aspects that women can work on to break or at least relieve these mental barriers. The first one really goes towards this period of professional inactivity, and it is to refresh your skills while you're off work. And there are many ways to do this, from online classes on specific topics to volunteering if you have a longer break. But I will not dwell too deep here, because I have seen in the program that some of the speakers after me will broach these topics. There are two things, though, that I would like to highlight in this context. If you are currently employed and will be going into maternity or parental leave, I feel that it is really worth having a talk before you leave with your direct manager to see who is going to take over your task, to set the conditions of your comeback, and also discuss ways for you to stay updated. It will really help you put your mind at peace. And for those who have been out of work for a prolonged period of time, maybe one thing to do is to find a mentor, either in the company that you're going back to, or a person or woman that is in the corporate world in a sector that you want to go back. I've been mentoring for the past 3 years, and it's a very nice experience, even when you are on the mentor side of things, because both the mentor and mentee have an opportunity to learn a lot. The second point I'd like to make is, if you have the opportunity to attend some classes during your maternal leave, do not overbook yourself. When I fell pregnant, I had just moved from Europe to the US, and I was frantic, doing plenty of things, because not only did I have to find a job, but also to adapt to a new work environment. And that all went well during pregnancy, but once the baby's there, you kind of realize that time management with a newborn is a whole other story. And if you overbook yourself, you'll end up being even more stressed, because you are no longer the one who decides what is happening at what time. So by all means, look into what kind of skills you would like to upgrade, but don't feel compelled to sign up for 3-4 classes at a time, or an MBA, which I did when I was pregnant. And I swear at some point I thought I was going ballistic, because the baby kind of wakes up at every hour of the day and of the night, and the mind is really not there to study. So the bottom line is, make sure that you secure time slots for yourself. And this brings me to, for me, a very important recommendation. Picking one activity which will help you relax and decompress is as important as continued education. Just make sure you identify that one thing that will make you feel good. That can be anything from meditation to yoga, cooking, knitting, a walk in the forest, or just having coffee with a friend. Pick one and do it consistently, because disconnecting from work and from worries at least once a week is a gift that you deserve. And I promise it will boost your morale and enhance your creativity and help break down those mental barriers that we tend to build. And to conclude, I would like to read a quote from Abby Wember, who used to be a sport professional in the US and is now an anchor for on a TV channel. And I discovered this quote as I was preparing a presentation for Women on Board some time ago. So I will read it off to you. Imperfect men have been empowered and permitted to run the world since the beginning of time. And it's time for imperfect women to grant themselves permission to join in. Perfection is not a prerequisite of leadership. Thank you very much for listening.
Unmute yourself, Rajni. Unmute yourself.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. So thank you so much, Patricia, for expressing your remarkable views so comprehensively. In fact, you raised few key points like guilt in your speech, and most of us suffer from this negative feeling at some point of our life if we are, professional women or an entrepreneur. Patricia, I have a question for you, which is again related to negative emotions that most of the women who are planning to get back to their work, maybe subconsciously or consciously, they have in their mind. Do you think all these confusions, dilemmas that occur to us while we are planning to get back are somewhere deep down reflection of our own fears and apprehensions? Because, there has been a gap, and more the gap, higher the insecurities will be. So somewhere we are not sure whether we are ready to face the world again, at the same time managing household responsibilities. What is your take on it?
Yes, I think it's deeply ingrained in general. I hope for, at least for the women of my generation, we have, that's why I quoted Abby at the end, we have this feeling that we have to work harder and be perfect in order to be, recognized and be successful in our careers. But as Violetta said at the beginning, men do mistakes as well. So it's really up to us to find a way to get away from these negative feelings, because at the end of the day, we self-sabotage ourselves. I think it's improving, and Violetta mentioned it as well, as in certain countries at least, more and more men are taking parental leaves. And so you have kind of start seeing examples of other people who are taking parental leaves, maternal leaves, and go back and still progress in their career. Because let's not forget that giving birth to a child and be on a maternal or a paternal leave, once you start educating and raising your child, you also gain a lot of skills that are useful in your professional environment. So it's really, I'm not saying just because a barrier is mental, it doesn't exist. It is there. But that's why also I said, find a way to relax and to disconnect, because it will put things into perspective and you will realize that some of your fears are only in your head.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Patricia. And I would request all participants and viewers, if they have any question, please feel free to write their question in the chat box. We would definitely try to bring up that question whenever, wherever it is possible. because we have yet to ascertain the flow of the event, and we would try to take up most of the questions as early as possible. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Patricia, once again. And now it's time to ponder over the reasons why many women who were once working don't want to go back to work post-sabbatical. What pushes them to take such a big decision? To share on it, joining us are next speaker from Romania, Andrea Tennessee, an independent consultant, trainer, a strategist, having expertise in strategic program design, capacity building, intercultural intelligence, policy making, organizational and civil society development. So over to Andrea.
Thank you, Rajni, very much, and greetings to everybody. It's always makes you smile when you hear somebody else talking about you, because sometimes you even forget you've done some of these things. Wonderful to be here. Thank you for the invite. And I have a confession. You know, I was wondering what to start and what to contribute with, especially with this topic, because, you know, why women don't join, because for what I am and for how long I've known myself, I've always joined. So it actually provoked me to think about why others do not, or what is different in different cases. And to just tell you a few reasons why I think, you know, in my position, I was the one, you know, joining all the time, whether it was in school, in taking a leadership role. And I think that also is a reason why later on you are on a career path that you always, you know, are active and see the possibilities. Coming from Romania, where actually very few people know that it's one of the systems where the benefits on being on maternity is one of the best in the world. So that's another reason, you know, why you don't join, because these benefits don't exist. But in our case, they did exist. And I had one child in, well, I was in Vienna, Austria, and one in Romania. And I must say that in terms of benefits, Romania is way better. Thinking, you know, how to answer this question, I would go back to a field that I've engaged in for quite a long time, which is peace building and conflict transformation, which is also one of the reasons why I was like, yeah, Ubuntu, when I heard Ubuntu, because we used that concept a lot when we talk about conflict transformation and peace building. And in peace building, we use one model, a triangle, to look at reasons or root causes for a conflict. And probably, not necessarily not joining, but not participating can be analyzed like this. So I would like to share with you this model, which divides the reason into three. There are direct causes, there are structural causes, and there are cultural causes. And the direct causes are the ones that perhaps are most obvious. They don't join because, well, there are no direct jobs that are offered, or because there is no time, or because there is nobody to spend time with the child at home. So these are direct. But the structural causes are the ones that describe the structures, whether it's an institution or a law or a physical space that prevents women from joining. And we can give a lot of examples in this. The legislation is one example. So when the legislation doesn't allow you actually to spend enough time at home after giving birth, you may end up taking the choice of actually staying at home and not coming back to work in 3 months because you cannot do that. So that's a structural cause, and I think that's a big cause, and there are some friends around me here that even took that decision. The third, I think, is the strongest, and it's the cultural. And I think we have just heard a lot of reasons why women not join before, which are the cultural causes. And aside from patriarchy and patriarchal values in different societies, we have also this imposter syndrome that we have just heard. And these are barriers that we put on ourselves. So in the context where I worked and where I am, I found both. So both not joining the workforce because the woman is considered to be, you know, to have to stay at home, to first take care of the needs of the household, of raising the kids, and perhaps after that joining. So that's one aspect. But also the opposite, you know, women putting so much pressure on themselves that, you know, I have to go and I have to be the smiling professional and performing super well, that actually that leads to burnout, and they end up not joining and having a feeling of blame. So these are deep root causes, cultural causes that I've also noticed. This is in terms of analysis, and I think it would be very interesting to look at each of our experiences to see what the reasons are there in each of our contexts. But I think even more important would be to look at what is there to do about each one of these. And of course, it would take a lot of time and a lot of strategizing in what to do. But I think the very least that we could do as women who obviously engage on the 8th of March, happy International Women's Day on this conference, is to keep doing this. To keep discussing, to keep creating the spaces where women and men share their stories of engagement, to keep noticing the quality of the participation around us. I just came from a meeting where in my relatively new place, I've been working here in an IT cluster for the last 6 months. I've been noticing that the meetings around strategies are a bit more with men, and the meetings on capacity building and these nurturing topics are more with women. So, you know, notice these things, and let's also, if we can, spell them out in the workplace. Let us also make sure that we include also in our own education space for ourselves. And this was again mentioned, and I think it's very, very important to do so, and be aware of the pressure, and be aware that it's not necessarily the need to put so much pressure in order to be professional. And I think the most revolutionary thing that we can do is keep educating also our kids, but also reshaping the very concept of professionalism. I had my daughter here a few minutes ago. That is okay in a professional environment. Reshaping that very concept, that participation, including sometimes in a less formal way, doesn't mean a less professional way. Let us work on how we reshape culturally the very notion of professionalism, including in this very notion of professionalism values, practices that women before and after birth perform and that are close to who we are as women, and probably the entire triangle with direct structural and cultural causes might be tilted. The story for sure is different in every single context of each one of us and in each of our contexts. That I think is my strongest desire and endeavor in everything that I do, constantly challenging noticing and constantly trying to reshape our reality, our values, our culture, so that it's inclusive of everybody, men and women. And it was very happy to hear and to connect in this context with you. I look forward if there are any questions, and as I think the best of an intervention is the dialogue that comes after. Thank you. Right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Andra. In fact, you touched some really essential key points around the subject. And since during your presentation, you raised a point of some structural changes and legislative measures that you feel, if could be improved, would certainly improve and help women getting back to workforces. So I just want to understand here one point. In your experience, what factor is stronger in preventing women joining workforces? Is it legislative factor or is it cultural factor in your experience and the nation, the geographies that you are residing in?
I would say cultural, and this is perhaps why I also pondered more on the cultural aspect. I think that is the root cause that generates also the others.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's about action, we cannot only work on one. And in different contexts, I think the numbers show the need for action also in the immediate term. Also in the conflict transformation environment, there is this model that perhaps direct factors can be tackled within 1 or 3 in projects, 1 or 3 years in projects. Structural factors perhaps take 5 to 10 years, but the cultural factor is a generational change. So I would say yes. I think that the cultural, the background of our values, of our deep beings is the strongest. Yet we cannot afford to wait for generations often, and we need to act also on the others.
True. And Andra, I would love to share one study that I came across recently, which has been done by a professional agency that states that 90% of the reasons for the sabbatical are found to be due to a development in personal life, like childcare, maternity, and relocation. This survey also highlighted structural barrier in an organization like career track transparency, challenges to enablement at work, and lack of role models. Mind it, this word is very important, lack of role models. So probably we need many more role models in our society, and probably under, like you also stated, that cultural factors play more significant and stronger role in bringing back women to workforces. Probably culture would be definitely be influenced if there are more role models and vice versa.
Yes, I would agree.
Thank you so much, Andra, for your views, and we would definitely keep coming back to you as and when we receive some questions from our participants. So thank you so much. We request you to stay here across the whole event. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, moving on to the next subject on our agenda. Now it's time to talk about women's economic empowerment, which is considered very critical in achieving gender equality and sustainable development, as women are key contributors to economies. So the need to go back to work is the topic of our next speaker, who is joining us from Israel. And she is the director and board member at Asian Arab Chamber of Commerce, chairwoman Vizo Even Yehuda, and a World Peace Ambassador. So over to Elisa Ishet Moses. We welcome you, Elisa. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, thank you, and hello, and shalom from Israel. Hi. It is amazing, I always think that Israel is Europe, and when I speak and hear your European women, I know we have a long way to go. I don't know if you know, but Israel, as a mostly Jewish country, is a place that a lot of the rules come from religion. And if you go into the Bible, you see, amazingly, there are so many men heroes, but not so many women heroes. Heroine, I should say, because but we do have a heroine in the Bible. Just when they thought about advertisement, they didn't think about women. They said maybe it wouldn't work. So a lot of things that we have to deal here in Israel with a very conservative society, I should say. Women can do whatever they want, only if they can do it parallelly with the housework, with the kids. Unfortunately, only women can have kids in a natural way today, until we think about something else. So we are obligated to have the kid and be with him for 3 months in Israel, which is a not very long time. If you think a baby, which is 3 months, is really, it doesn't know anything, but we are if you want to go to work, we have to do it after 3 months. So I had to think and look for this panel, into the numbers. Do you know today, after the COVID, 66% of everybody who were fired during the COVID are women. This is a number that I couldn't think about before. I didn't want maybe to think about it, but I am an example for this situation. I was brought out as a girl in a very conservative family. My mother told me, okay, you can do things, that's okay, but don't forget, you have to be at home, you have to have a husband, kids, they need to eat. Until today, I can tell you, every time I travel for work, my mother asked me, oh, did your husband eat? Does he have something to eat? And this is something we need to, I can now stand up on this. This is amazing. And until today, we still have to confront every time that women have to do something. They would ask, okay, what about the kids? So first of all, I believe in what Gandhi says. He said, if you want to make the change, be the change yourself. So if I teach my daughter, she doesn't have a glass ceiling. She can do whatever she wants. And as Rajini said, I am a chairperson of WITSO. WITSO is an organization for women. So we have little girls from the age of 3 to 10, and we teach them that they are important. They now understand that they don't know anything else. And this is the thing, because unfortunately, we as a women always think about the other people. Oh, what will happen to the kids? What will happen to... And when you try to see, the world is okay. I went to work. The kids were okay. My husband were okay. So I think this is something we need to teach the next generation, and not like our mother taught us. It's okay to be a woman and work and have a career. If you want to have kids, that's okay. If you don't want to have kids, that's okay also. And in Israel, it really comes from the religion, because one of the most, we say mitzvah, one of the most things important in Judaism is to have a big family. Mm. And if you a lot of kids, and it's okay, but it's okay to have something for yourself. You don't have to feel guilty, because you are doing something for you. And by the way, I'm thinking next time we'll have a men day, not a woman day. We'll be the majority, and they can have a day. That's okay. We'll give them all the respect they want. So this will be for next time, But really, the COVID have showed us that the women's situation in the world is really bad, because schools were out, so kids were home, And amazingly, most of the taker, the people at home were women. Men went to work, everything was okay. So I think in education, for the next generation, this is the only way we can change things. I don't know you personally, but I can tell about myself. I was always called a rebel. My mom would say something, I would do the opposite. My father would do, and that's in this way I could do different things from my society. But we don't have to be that. It should be common knowledge. Girls can do things better than boys, by the way. If I look at our parliament in Israel, we have a minority of women, really. The women who are on the parliament are much better than the men. A woman should have to be excellent to do something, to be a CEO or to run a very successful company. But men can be, it can be just okay. And this is something I think we need to change. Yeah, if you look everywhere, you can see, we have in Israel 4 women which are the head of the banks. And every time you speak about women, they say, oh, look, you have 4 women in the head of the bank. Yeah, but they are so much better than the men who run the banks. And I think it's good to have men. It's okay. It's like yin and yang. We can do it together, and we have different thinking. But if you only have the yin, it doesn't work, or only the yang, doesn't work. So this is my opinion, and I think we can do it. We just need another day or 2, and we are on our way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aliza, for making such a candid presentation, I would say, and sharing your story. In fact, what I was thinking that during this COVID time, of course, for most of the people, it's been very, very hard time. However, if we look from women professionals' point of view, I have been told by many women they are feeling a bit happier and there is less guilt because they got time to spend with their kids now. Of course, because they got opportunity to work from home. So do you think starting slowly with half days, weekly work days from, home kind of policies, or hosting baby daycare in office or in some nearby locality can make a significant difference when it comes to, women going back to forces and
I haven't heard women says that. I have heard men says that. Because I think it's look, when I went to job interview, I was asked, how many kids are you planning to have? Who's going to take care of the kids when they are ill? Who's going to ask a man like this? So I think if this COVID did something, it showed us that we have to fight harder, because it was so easy to say, oh, COVID, we will stay home. Okay, so it is a good thing to know the kids. I have grown kids, so I'm happy. I mean, they have to make time to meet me. It's not like it's very, but men also can do the same thing. It could be, if we think like that, it could be a golden cage, because it will be very easy and very convenient to everybody. And then we say, oh, look, women are happy being at home. It doesn't have to be a gender thing. It should have everybody, men and women. And it's okay for men if they want to know their kids. Come on, for making a kid, you need two. So it works the same for everybody. So I think it's nice to think like that, but this is something we have to avoid, because it will be easy to just take us back and say, okay, you have to stay home. It's easier for the society. And in Israel, we're working, by the way, I should tell you, okay, something very important. In Israel, in Hebrew, when you speak, you have a different phrase for women and men. Now we started something new. We used to have everything that was spoken like we speak to a man. It's like if you have 10 women and 1 man, you speak like everybody is a man. We changed that now, and we start speaking like everybody is a woman. And I can tell you, there have been so many jokes about that. But you see little girls now speaking as everybody is a woman. So, like I said, education, they think it was like this all the time. So, little steps, but important, and we don't care what they say. They can laugh until tomorrow. It's okay. I say always we rule, yeah, but that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arita, once again. And we will request you to stay with us across the event.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much. So moving on to the next topic on agenda, which is very relevant in today's discussion. As living in digital world requires constant adaptability, learning new tools and techniques to keep pace with the massive technological changes happening around to survive and thrive. So brushing up technical skills is one sure thing, irrespective of the profession. So to focus more on it, let me invite from Albania, Lorenta Janushi, who is National Coordinator, Women for Cyber, Albania, and has key expertise in business intelligence, succession planning, protection of critical infrastructure, cyber security, and international law of cyber operations. So over to Lorenta.
Thank you, Rajni. Of the year, can you hear me?
We can hear you, we can see you well. We would love to see you, but
Thank you. If you had spoken to me this time last year, I never would have believed I would be in the position I am now. And this is thanks to you, Rajni. Thank you for gathering us virtually. And thank you again for your consideration to invite me to this event. I truly appreciate it. Let's get back to the topic now. While women are gradually transforming the traditionally male industry, there is still a significant way to go. And I think this is not relevant only for Albania, but also for every country we are representing today in this meeting. Why is there still such gender divide and talent shortage when it comes to an industry that's thriving and is proving to be incredibly vital during the challenging times in which we all currently face? There are, of course, many initiatives out there to evolve the digital stereotype and, moreover, to empower more females of all ages to access high-profile roles within our industry. But are they getting enough backing from an early age to support them in their quest to take technology to the next level? Speaking as one of the small percentage of women currently operating within this arena, my peers and I have a responsibility to educate girls. We must show them how tech works to underline its power and detail exactly why it can be such an exciting career with a vast array of opportunities that we are promoting every day in our events. How we do that is by tapping into what makes teenagers tick. Right now, I guess there may be millions of young people scrolling through their social media feeds, downloading the latest Spotify playlist and communicating with peers through a variety of different social media applications. So when the digital demographic is tech savvy, as they are also tech native in a kind of way to say, why are they experiencing so little exposure to the real life roles in technology that currently exist? And are we doing enough to support the future of STEM subjects when they're selecting their options to study? If we foster a growth mindset from an early age, where we are exposed to the practice rather than the perceived innate ability of what it takes to become a technology leader, we can aspire, and of course, we can be inspired to create the change we need, and will empower others to do so. And you know why? That's because technology comes from us. We are the innovators and enablers. So let's start championing this more and encourage our girls' population to challenge an industry that they have might previously thought was only fit for one type of change maker, because digital is rapidly evolving and our skill sets are too. What was perhaps once seen as a bit of a nerdy career before is very different now. And for any modern day technology firm to survive, they must come equipped with leaders who have three major skills. They are authentic, they are empathic, and they are collaborative. And yet, none of these skill sets are primarily suited to one gender or to another. So we need a range of voices to take innovation to the next level. And that means diversifying any existing native stereotype, which has previously led many girls to feel as though they lack the natural aptitude they think they need for sector success. Let's come back to my experience. As a graduated student in ICT, I can say that with conviction that the work in the field of ICT and cybersecurity is wonderful. I have been fortunate to work with employers who believe that me and many others with non-technical background can be trained to understand cybersecurity and technical parts of technology. And I can modestly say that I'm happy for the choices that I have made. I have traveled to many countries in Europe and I have traveled the world. I have built strong relationships with people, and I try to bring best practices that have added value to initiatives that created jobs for individuals in Albania. Women and girls with the same level of intelligence and talent are there to wait for the cybersecurity communities and for tech communities to find them. And through the initiative that I represent today, Women for Cyber Albania, we have identified many women and girls, and we are creating and implementing daily mentorship programs and professional growth for them. So to wrap it up, creating an educative and mentor-led environment that provides vital understanding of what job roles young females can consider should help to promote the idea that tech careers are within their reach. Whether with sector professionals, parents, or teachers, we're all responsible for inspiring our next generation of digital leaders. And after all, if due to some surveys or reports, if there is set to be a 12% growth in tech employment by 2024, then let's help our aspiring girl innovators to play a huge part in that statistic and leave the negative numbers behind. Thank you, Rajni.
Thank you so much, Clorinda. Yeah, you want to? Yeah. Thank you so much, Clorinda, for sharing your knowledge and thoughts on the subject. I have a question for you, as you yourself is an IT professional. So I just want to understand how difficult is it for an IT professional woman to get back to the work, and what has been your experience about it?
I guess that no one can deny that rejoining the workplace after an extended leave is a scary prospect. The longest leave for me was the maternity leave, only for 3 months. For those who don't know, I have a 3-year-old son, but I guess maybe exciting prospect also to have an extended leave in my field. But my advice would be push yourself out of your comfort zone, and because you never know what might happen. And it's also easy to lose confidence and feel demoralized when looking for a job using traditional recruitment routes. But there are also new opportunities available all the time. So you never know. One of them may well have your name on it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Clorinda. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Stay here across the whole event. We would have some questions for you. So please be here. Yeah. So guys, it's time to take 2 minutes mind relaxing exercise, 2 minutes break, as we have a proficient mindset coach with us, a lovely woman, Deepti Joshi. Deepti, can you hear us?
Hello, Rajni. Thank you for inviting me today.
We would love to see you. Where are you? Okay, good. So, Deepti, can we have some relaxation? And
yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. In this age of stress and anxiety, we all of us as women face, we will be doing just a 1 minute exercise, and I will give you a couple of points how it will benefit you in a long run. Okay. So, as I said, it definitely dissolves your stress and anxiety levels, slows down and calms down your mind, activates and strengthens your brain, and boosts resilience and self-directed neuroplasticity. So these are few benefits of a simple and portable practice which we call as mindfulness, mindful breathing. So what I want all of you to do is sit comfortable, and we will begin with sitting comfortable. Soften or close your eyes and direct your awareness to your breath. And in order to stop your mind from thinking, you can try touching your tongue to the base of your mouth. Okay. So breathing gently and naturally, simply follow the rhythm of your breath. As you breathe in, feel your stomach and lungs expanding. As you breathe out, let go all your stresses and anxieties. Breathing in, feel your body getting fuller. Breathing out, letting go of any tension and stress. Breathing in, alive and awake. And breathing out, feeling relaxed and calm. And on your final breath, lengthening the breath, breathing in deeply and slowly letting it go. You may take your hands together, take your palms together, warm your palms up, and slowly touch your eyes with the warmth and caress your entire face. Smile and slowly open your eyes. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Deepti. It was indeed a brilliant instant relaxation activity. Thank you so much. And in fact, we are feeling very, very relaxed. And I hope we have so many participants and speakers here who also followed your instruction. So, I would love to know from all speakers and participants if they followed instruction of Deepti, how are they feeling now?
Well, I'm always happy, so.
Great.
This
So,
is
Alyssa,
good.
that's the way to live, isn't it?
It is
Yeah,
positive.
yeah, it's really good.
Positive. It is
Thank
appreciated.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deepti. Thank you so much for such a wonderful brief session. And we are getting back to our agenda of the day because it's time to talk about freelancing and internship, which is widely available for everyone and also an effective way to expedite your personal growth, especially for women professionals who have had career break and now planning to get back to the industry. As internship and freelancing offers hands-on experience and help you stay updated with the latest trends. It also offers the opportunity to demonstrate skills, brush up on the technology, regaining the lost confidence. And to talk about it, we have a wonderful woman with us who is joining us from North Macedonia. She is President Women for Cyber North Macedonia. She is among top 50 women influencer in cybersecurity Europe and privacy and data protection expert. So over to Zubaka Pendoroska. Hi, Zubaka, we welcome you.
Hi, greetings from sunny Skopje and Women for Cyber North Macedonia chapter team. Inspire and let yourself be inspired actually was my personal and professional leading motto all these years. And today, as we are celebrating the International Women's Day, I don't see a better way to celebrate, to market, and to cheer the International Women's Day than by sharing our inspirational stories and experiences. And I'll be very glad and happy if I could be inspired myself by other young girls and women's stories in order to share our experiences and positive vibes for today's day and for the future. As you said, the topic I'm going to concentrate on is freelancing and internship. And I could say that I have a lot to say about it since myself, I am more than 12 years freelancer, consultant, and expert in the field of cybersecurity and privacy and data protection. So first, the first thing that came to my mind when you said freelancing was that the reasons why I started and decided to start freelancing career 12 years and more years ago was are now even stronger to stay in freelancing because I have the privilege to feel on my own skin all those positive sides and advantages coming from freelancing. But I will start with internship, as you said, and my colleague Clorenta from Albania already mentioned it. Through our expertise working with Women for Cyber Foundation and our national chapter, we came to the conclusion that there is a huge lack of female role models and female mentors and interns guiding young women, especially and girls, through cybersecurity professions. And that's maybe one of the main core reasons why there is also a lack of female representatives or women involved in cybersecurity education, because women compared to men by their nature, but by their inherent characteristics, are more prone to be guided by other females. And while we're facing the situation on the ground where most of the educators in cybersecurity, but also most of decision-making and executive positions in cybersecurity areas are guided by men, then we are lacking a huge potential of female role models to guide young girls to involve themselves in cybersecurity. That's why we are working, first of all, to identify the potential we have, female potential we have in cyber security areas, then to link the community and to make it more visible and help the community to raise the voice in order to spread the voice and to make it more valuable than it is nowadays. That means that when we are talking about female role models and different kind of mentorship programs, we are exactly concentrating on internship as one of its core elements, because we are getting in close communication with all those companies, firms, institutions, or organizations which are working in cybersecurity and which want to build an image for themselves as being female open spheres, and in order to get to a position where we will no longer talk about gender aspects in cybersecurity, but we will get to a position where actually we are talking about gender neutral cybersecurity environment. But I will concentrate now more on freelancing, especially in cybersecurity. There is a fact that more and more women are opting for a freelance career, and having in mind the advantages we are facing during the last 12 months working from home, especially and with health pandemics, and we are not sure when we'll get back to the old normal. It's more than obvious that we'll face with a situation where even more women will get to know involved in freelancing, in not only in cybersecurity area, but also in other career paths. So that's why, speaking from my experience all these years, I will share only the main positive advantages arising from freelancing jobs for women. I won't talk about the biases, the obstacles and barriers we are facing and negative sides, but now I will concentrate on the positive vibes and advantages. The main reason, or actually the two main reasons why I joined freelancing as an expert and consultant were elasticity and sense of liberty and flexibility it gives to all those which are diving in freelancing. Because for a person as myself, I find it very important to be in charge of how I spend my time when I start to work, from where, and all those different kind of factors which are very important, having in mind the job that you do. Well, elasticity, because it allows you to work when you desire and where you wish for. If you have previous experience working in so-called ordinary job from 9 to 5, let's say, in office, and I had that kind of experience before I jump in freelancing, it's really essential when you consider the valuable moments which can be easily missed if you work 8 hours in office. For instance, moments with your family, with your friends, and other precious moments. Sense of liberty and flexibility. For me personally, there is no better thing than to select time, place, and manner also in which you will do your job. Then the second one, which is also important, put it in a combination with the first one, and especially important when we are talking about economic well-being, stability of women. It's better payments and savings. I'm not talking only about the salary, but also about other benefits which women can get from better benefits compared to other positions which women can get from freelancing. Why? Because in most of the cases, most usually freelancers are workers which are posted on positions which are hired because of their specific abilities, specific qualifications, and specific education knowledge, but also informal education. They possess different kinds of certificates. That's why their work is more paid, and their experience is highly paid. And if we take in count that usually freelancers are paid by working hour or working day, then in many situations, it's much better than getting your monthly salary. Also, freelance demand. It's an open platter for more choice, because there is a wide range of jobs compared to so-called normal, ordinary jobs. And having in mind, as I said, the struggle we are passing through with the health pandemics, one thing is for sure, there will be even more offered high-valued jobs for freelancers online. And I can say from my experience during the last year, there are a lot of new freelance platforms, and there are also female platforms specialized for women freelancing positions. And having in mind, for instance, in cyber area that we are facing, working virtually, we are facing with more and more cyber threats and cyber attacks. That means that this kind of job market is going to rise even more in the future. Another, for me, very important opportunity arising from freelancing is that you can work a few different jobs at the same time. Because, as I said, it is very elastic, and you can pick the few jobs to do at the same time. Also, it gives rise to individuals' creative potential, because it's an excellent way if you want to turn your creative energy, your hobby, or your talent into money. While, for instance, when you're starting a business, you will need some starting point, some starting finances and other kind of assets. It's different when you're starting a freelancing job, because you have more opportunities than compared to starting classical business. And finally, the natural characteristics inherent to women are clearly showing that women compared to men are more exposed to the decision to obtain that kind of work-life balance. So compared to our male colleagues, we are always a kind of face, unfortunately, in many situations in our life, in our private and professional life, we are unfortunately faced as women with a situation to choose between whether we are going to concentrate on our career more or our family more, or even where we will put aside our career in order to raise our child, to get household activities done. So that's why, and starting from that perspective, I find this freelancing a very, how to say, a positive mechanism or tool to have the best of two, of all of those two words. Although there are some dilemmas and open talks whether offering work from home for women is another way to put them aside and to say, to tell them your place is in the kitchen or is in your house. But I find it that and I can confirm that from my experience, that working, you can be as much hurt as an expert in your field, no matter where you're talking from, where you're talking and working from your home or working from the office, because there are plenty of opportunities to work virtually, to get in a communication, to do meetings virtually. And you won't be faced with a situation to choose between your profession and over your family over your profession or otherwise. And finally, I will get to a conclusion here, that I have heard a very interesting thought that makes me to dwell deeper on it, and just a thought to think about it. Saying that freelancing suits women because the employment system wasn't built for us. I'm not sure whether it is correct or not, but there is a lot to discuss about, because while I'm researching the root causes of and barriers which women in cybersecurity are facing with, and what prevents more young girls and women to choose cybersecurity professions, for instance, I find it even more and more present, more or less in any country, that unfortunately there are still obstacles in employment law, in the way how job advertisements are working on, the language used, which is predominantly male. Then in interview phase, for instance, it happens a lot that the whole interview commissioner group is composed of only male representatives, which is actually a barrier in preventing women for getting more positive results during the interview. And that's why I think it is a worth question to think about it. What we need to do in this phase of or area of career building for women in cybersecurity, in order at least to make the employment system better and built not on a gender basis, because at the end of the discussion, all we need is to get each area of our professional private life outside of gender issues. We don't. That will be the best position. I'm not sure whether it is possible or not to obtain it, but it is our task. It is our fight to do it, to get a better position for all us women. And as I said, and I will finish here, as for myself as someone who is trying to inspire others in order to get to the position where the gender issue won't be an issue anymore and will become irrelevant, I can confirm very strongly that women, as freelancers at their expert positions, for instance, be actually even more heard and in a position to spread their voice, to make it heard and valuable by those which are making decisions, by policy makers, decision makers, and executive position holders. Once again, I will thank you, Rajni, for giving the opportunity to share our thoughts from different perspectives, but becoming united in the same position, women, in order to get, not from a feminist perspective, but to build our individual societies and humanity as a whole a better place to be in. Thank you, and I'm open for your questions, of course.
Thank you so much, Zubika, for making this wonderful, insightful presentation. In fact, while you were giving your presentation, I was just thinking, it is undoubtedly, it is boom nowadays that freelancing and internship opportunities are available in abundance. However, when it comes to credibility, you know, maybe the financial aspect of it, most of us cannot rely on each and every opportunity that we come across. So can you suggest us, can you share with us few credible websites that offer genuine freelancing work, and you know, we have no scare or fear in our head that something will go wrong?
Thank you for the question, and I find it very valuable for those young ladies which are hearing us right now, and I will try to be helpful as much as I can. Freelancer websites are very useful platforms. First of all, for those people, for those women which are looking for freelance job, but it's important because it's a place where they can meet actually prospects employers. So it's a point where job seekers, for instance, women job seekers, meet the needs of prospect employers and their job offers. So I would suggest that it is, although they are not the only tool we have, we can use it in order to get a freelancing job, but I can suggest those freelance platforms and websites as a good place to start with, since it will help the prospect freelancers to find first clients very easily and to constantly sharpen their skills and potential along the way of their from the point where they started to the next station, as I could say. So I could mention a few of them. Most of them are gender neutral, which means that you can find, of course, open positions suitable for both men and women. And some of them, as I said, during the last year, there were some platforms which are specialized, exactly concentrating on female freelancers. So I will name just a few of those platforms, and of course there are a lot of they are outside, but I will name a few of them which I find most suitable to start your activities in freelancing. First of all, Upwork. We all know about Upwork. It's why I mention it at first, because it's very easy to navigate through, and it's a collaborative and, as I may say, friendly space to use it as a starter. Then TopTal is a highly specialized platform, which means that if you're women trying to start freelancing career, but you already have experience behind you and a lot of knowledge, a specialized knowledge, then you can start with a TopTal platform. Then Simply Hired and People Per Hour are highly competitive, I would say, platforms. But they're free to use, which is important if you're starting activity in freelancing as a starting activity. Then Crowded, which is it's a recruitment process that will find the most suitable applicants for companies, which means it is going in a kind of details and trying to offer you the best possible solutions, having in mind your expertise and your the qualifications that you possess. This freelance website is ranking actually the potential participants, and based on the price they're offering, their experience and skills. Then here we can talk about design, Hill, then Skyward, Next, Guru, and others. And I will finish with the one which I mentioned, which is specialized for women. I will stress out the existing platform, the world's largest community for freelance women. It's freelancingfemales.com.
Okay.
So it's I think that it is an how can I say that it is still in the process of making it better platform for to get in details about women, but I find it very useful because in some previous conferences and events, this kind of gatherings, I was asked about to suggest some platform, and I find it I tried to research it a bit deeper, so I find it very useful especially for female starters in freelancing.
Thank you so much, Zubaika, for sharing beneficial inputs with us. Shreya, have we got any question? So
yes, Rajni. Yes, we've got a couple of questions from our audience. And the first question is, considering working of home as a new norm and further enhanced use of internet due to these COVID times, how cybersecurity is gearing up to tackle with the ever-increasing cyber threats for all of us in general and women in particular? I think this question is for Jubika.
Can you mention once again, because I didn't hear it well? The last part of the question.
Okay. How cybersecurity is gearing up to tackle with the ever-increasing cyber threats for all of us in general and women in particular?
Well, it's a very complex and hard to answer the question here, because it is cybersecurity is multidimensional, and we are touching the cybersecurity for different aspects. That means that our approach cybersecurity approach needs to be holistic, which means that first of all it should unite legislative, social, political, cultural, technical, privacy aspects, data protection aspects, with which we need this holistic approach. I find it challenging that cybersecurity community, speaking in terms of international organizations, are doing a lot in order to make the legislation the best possible as it may be. But having in mind the rapid development of information exchange systems, having in mind that we are the information is all around the world in a split of a second, it is very hard, first of all, for legislation to follow the step. And that means that all the systems which are arising, all the mechanisms and tools for protection of us, humankind in virtual space, it is hard to follow the minds of cyber attackers, the minds of cyber threaters of different kinds. And among other, one of the reasons why cyber world actually needs more women, the answer is here, because it's interesting that men and women are seeing the cyber attacks, the different kinds of cyber threats from different perspectives. They are tackling actually the problem from different perspectives and they find different solutions. And that's why we need that amalgam together, because it's a kind of, I used to see the cybersecurity as a puzzle. If you don't have, there is a lack of one piece in the puzzle, you don't have the whole picture. And that's why, to cut it short, I'm not sure what's the right answer for this question, because I find it that there are each day more and more advocates for safety and security in cyberspace. And one of them we are actually part of those advocates working for a better cyber environment. But it's not easy. It's not easy to do, having in mind that industry players are also very important here. It's not about only about legislators and about systems and international communities, but also industry players are very important in that fight, because they're possessing all those applications and social platforms, social media we are using every day. Even now we are using one of those platforms. If the legislation and the legislators and institutions can help here, both in national and international sense, can help here to put, as I may say, industry players on the wall. But we need to build a culture within this industry environment, the culture of that all we do at the end of the day, no matter in what capacity, no matter we're working, for instance, in Facebook or Twitter, or no matter what, that or in online advertising industry, and in the end of the day, when we get home, we are all individuals with our own personal life, our own pictures, our own personal information, and we are always, that needs to be our starting and ending position.
Thank you so much, Zubarka. Thank you so much for your time and answering the questions. And we will move on to the next segment of our presentation, as we are running short of time. So we can take up rest of the questions in the end, Shreya.
Sure,
So
yes.
So as we are living in a constantly changing world where transitions are happening very rapidly, and today you can take example of any industry, a lot of changes are happening everywhere, and it's not matter of years, it is within few months you will see so many changes happening. So there are obviously reasons why people feel anxious about starting a new job, or they worry that their skills would become redundant or little rusty because a lot has changed since they have been away from the workplace. Joining us, Raiza Roseta from Brazil, who is a third sector executive, an entrepreneur, a strong proponent of gender equality and empowerment, speaker to talk about upskilling and improving your profile. So over to Raiza. Raiza.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can
hear you.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank Rajni for this invite to join you, great women around the world. I already discovered so many things we have in common, despite we come from so different cultures, but we have a lot in common. So I'm really glad, and thank you, Rajni. And I was thinking while I was preparing for my participation in the webinar, and I thought, well, I have 3 kids. I raised three kids, and I always was a professional since I was 17, and I am a grandmother. So I think the topic is really relevant, upskilling and improving on your profile. Just to give you a very brief context of women in my country, Brazil, women in Brazil are the main providers of and head of 45 of all families. Women represent now 30 million of family providers in Brazil. Women, on the other hand, women receive 70.7% of men's income in the labor market. In positions of management, the salaries are even lower, are about 61.9% of men in the same positions. In Brazil, most people without bank access, it's a minority of people, of course, but even so, the majority of people without bank access in Brazil are women, unfortunately. And as many countries in the world, Brazil is suffering for a year the economic and social effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. In the pandemic, women are the most affected group among the Brazilian population, I'm afraid. According to International Labor Organization, in the world, women represent 5% of job losses. On the other hand, men 3.9%. In the pandemic in Brazil, more than 8 million Brazilian women lost their jobs because of some factors, as we discussed before, some of our colleagues talked about. For example, women were working in sectors affected by the crisis, such as services, hospitality. Women are in Brazil the majority of the job losses. And women, why is that? Because women didn't have someone to look after their children at home. Also, this situation makes clear that cultural, structural, and gender-based patriarchal inequalities create biases and obstacles that are interfering in the conditions of women in the job market. The percentage of women working in the job market in Brazil fall down to 45.8%. It's a figure back to the 90s. In the last decades, we more and more participated in the job market in Brazil, but because of the pandemic, we came back to the past in terms of participation in the job market. And according to SEBRAE, the major Brazilian agency to support entrepreneurship, women entrepreneurs, 1.3 million women entrepreneurs closed down their businesses. So it's a situation, it's a serious situation. So it's clear in this context that upskilling and improving on women's profile are crucial elements, even more in the pandemic context. I would like to approach the topic using two different perspectives, but the two perspectives are interconnected. The first perspective is the public policy perspective. It's clear, at least from a country, a developing country like Brazil, that there is a need to maintain emergency basic income processes to support women that lost their jobs. That's an emergency policy that needs to be kept in Brazil. And this is also an opportunity for women, together with this basic income policy, that there are some initiatives to improve the skills of women, public initiatives to improve women's skills. But there is also a second perspective that I would like to share with you. It's the individual perspective, the woman itself, herself perspective. And I would like to suggest 5 important areas of improving our skills, improving skills of women who are out of the job and want to go back to the job market. First of all, I would say lifelong learning. We have learned a lot during this pandemic to rethink the way we learn. We can learn not only attending a classroom, we can learn reading, we can learn sharing, we can learn talking to people, being mentored. That's a way of learning and to keep your learning on. The second one, I would say, it's adaptability. More than ever, we were challenged to become adaptable to this situation. Every day, as we say in Brazil, every day is a day. Let's live this day and face this day and look forward. So there is a need for women for us as women to look at ourselves, to look at our inner self and to see what are our strengths, what are the possibilities that we can bring up and raise as a woman fighting to go back to the market. The third one would be relationship and networking. Not only the formal relationship or networking, but being part of a support network. I can see, looking around, looking the situation of women in my country, that women are needing more than ever a supporting network of friends, of mothers, of former work colleagues, of community leaders. So this is something that can help women in improving her skills, not only hard skills, but soft skills. Fourth, technology-based skills. This is something, as our colleagues spoke before, it's crucial. It's crucial that women enter this world, and we are using more than ever technology. Of course, there is an income barrier of women who are poorer that cannot access the best technologies. But let's connect that to public policies, as I said before. And the fifth, but not the least, but not the last, but not the least, entrepreneurial attitude. I think entrepreneurial attitude is not only about having or holding a business, it's about making a movement, believing that you are able to transform your reality, believing that together with other women, together with people and organizations that can support you, you can change your situation, the situation of your family, and find a space in the work environment. With these two perspectives together, interconnected, I believe women will increase their chances of going back to work in better and fairer conditions. Let's be powerful, not because we are perfect, but because we dare to build a better and fairer world where women have their rights assured. I believe strongly that we can do that, and we can dare, and we can do, and we can help and support women to have an economic right. Women have economic rights. So these two perspectives together, I believe, will help women go back to work. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you, and I'm open and looking forward to our dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raisa, for making such a stupendous presentation with a lot of elaborated ideas. So just, I have a question in my mind for you. That is about the data that I have seen given by IMF that says that 11% of jobs currently held by women are at risk of elimination as a result of digital technologies, a higher percentage than for job held by men. Technology can even keep women away from getting the job in the first place. What is your take on it?
Well, I think I would say that it's a partial truth. It's truth because in the short term, we can see that there are many barriers for women in jobs related to technology. That's a fact. There are figures about that. But on the other hand, I always believe that we have to dare the reality. We have to challenge the current culture and to support and to, with our activists, from our activists, to help women overcome technology-based barriers to go back to work. For example, in Brazil, there are many competitions for stimulating, promoting technology-based startups of women. And we have seen a very positive movement about that. Another example I can share with you is a woman group, a network. I am part of that network. It's called Brazil's Women Network, and I am one of the leaders of the Public Policy Committee. And we are stimulating programs for very young girls to get used to technology. This is a medium and short-term vision to support women and to make women more familiarized and more used to the technology environment, technology tools, because we know, we are aware that the world is becoming more and more technology-based. So women have to be supported. Women have to be supported in the short term, and medium and long term, to overcome this situation. That's why, Rajni, I believe it's a partial through, because sometimes we get a bit upset and with our moral down, because we only see the picture of the present. But we have to see a movement. We have to see what is the trend, what is happening around, what is happening in my community, my country, what is happening to support women to get technology-based jobs. That's what I think.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Raisa Rosetta. And we are running a bit short of time, and we would definitely get back to you, Raisa, if time permits us in the end of the session. So here is one speaker who is waiting for us, and she's joining us from Italy. Her name is Agnes Morissi, and she's ready to speak about networking and making your profile visible. Agnes recently joined an important consultant company as a cybersecurity strategy analyst and PM. She has been active for work in promoting the women peace and security agenda, with some activities carried out at Italian Minister Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. She has been actively involved in gender security activities through mentoring and educational programs in order to close the gender gap in the security and defense field. So over to Agnes. Agnes, we welcome you.
Thank you, Rajni, for this wonderful presentation. And I'm so happy, honored, and humbled to be here. And also to be, surrounded by amazing, powerful, inspiring women, all the panelists, but also the audience. So thanks a lot for inviting me. And I will talk about a very important topic, which is networking and how, we can be more visible. And so networking is, a skill that doesn't come naturally to everyone. Yeah. And many multi-passionate, creative women have a complicated relationship with networking. And it's true for me, of course, but I know that also it's true for many other women as well. And networking can feel really uncomfortable. And to various degrees, the introverts, ambiverts, but even extroverts can struggle with it. And unfortunately, we can stick our head in the sand and forget all about it. Because in this day, particularly, networking is a necessity. And whether we are trying to achieve knowing people that can support ourselves, that can support our business, that can offer us, new opportunities and perspectives, networking is really powerful. And if you think of networking as a way of meeting people, instead of a way, to push for your services or products, you might start seeing networking in a very more positive way. Mm-hmm. And I strongly believe that the biggest issue women have with networking is the preconceived ideas about it, but mostly how it needs to be done. And for a long time, women were not invited inside networking activities. And when they become part of the workforce, they slowly found their way to networking. But to many of them, it's really felt like never a very important aspect. So the rules of traditional networking was created by men, and unfortunately, they really know how to networking. And as women, we communicate and we make connections differently. So we need a different kind of networking. I would like to stress two important different kind of types of networking that for me, both of them are very helpful for all of us to achieve our goals and our dreams. The first one is based on making the most out of our every human interaction in our life. So it means, introduce ourselves to someone or friends of our friends introduce ourselves to other parents, as we are all women with kids, and we never know who the other person is. So it could be, you know, someone that could become a client or a business partner, or, you know, even a romantic interest. But on the other hand, the most important networking, type of networking, is the strategic one, which means that involves having a plan. So we need to know where to go, what to say, of course, and what and with whom exactly, of course, we want to connect. So we need to know who you want to build a relation with. It could be a female CEO, it could be a brand manager, or it could be, of course, also a person working in a specific area that you are interested in. And I call this kind of strategic networking the we dynamic. And I want to stress the word we, because as women, we lift up others, we can inspire others, we can be inspired by others. And, you know, when we would like to achieve more goals or more dreams or more business professional achievements, we always do this with others. We cannot make this alone. So it's very important that we think about the strategic networking as a we dynamic. And so when we can start a conversation with someone, I always suggest to other to say, instead of say, how can I help you? You can say, how can we help one another? You know, many women think of networking as high key, and strategic networking can be very difficult for women, for example, because they don't find people similar to them during events, and this is something particular true for women in a very male-dominated area, such as cybersecurity. So what is preventing women from successfully networking? For me, the problem is the fact that most women tend to fall victim to self-imposed barriers, including generate modesty, the tendency that we have to undersell our values, our strengths, the reluctance to leverage our connections as a means to get in our careers. So ignoring networks can really damage or limit our career and our leadership effectiveness. But just as relationships can be learned, so can the skills of networking can be learned too. And I would like also to stress that the word work is part of networking. So even though I know it's not an easy work because it involves reaching outside our comfort zone, it's important that we just do it. And I provide a kind of toolkit for all of you, not only to give you tips on strategic networking building, to how you can build synergies and collaborations, but also how you can make you more visible. And the first tip that I would like to stress is access your current network structure, which means that strategic relationships can help advance our goal. And the best strategic networks are broad, are diverse, they are connective across groups, they are so dynamic. And working your network, also means establish your power network. So having access to the who's who in your industry or in your business network. And you don't have to be at the top of the food line to establish a relationship with some powerful players. You can get connected to them by seeking mentors, join professional associations, join women's groups, and even in your day-to-day interactions. So you have to take time to list and map out your network. To get a clear pictures of your network, you can take a piece of paper, you can draw a kind of circle in the middle, and you can write the name in this circle, so your name inside your circle. Then you can write down the names of people with whom you can have or you can already have strong connections, and put them inside the circle. And you can also add the names of people that you have weak or distant ties, so they are away from your cycle. And finally, you have to ask to yourself, who should be in your network? If this connection, are closer or distant, if this connection are trusting or mutual beneficial, if they are superficial or one-sided, vertically diverse, if your network heavy with people who are similar to you or to each other. So the first steps to do is to understand your network's strengths and weaknesses. The second one is access your current network structure. So don't let your network grow stale. Keep it active, keep it updated, by keeping in touch with people, by attending networking events. The most important part is the follow-up. So maybe one top tip could be to create a kind of networking database and periodically keep in touch with your network, and don't restrict networking to events, but try to turn networking into a daily practice. So you have to capitalize every single opportunity to network, while you create initiative connections and delivering your uniqueness. Another important advice could be also preparation. So wherever you're attending a conference or networking events, make sure that you have a kind of elevator pitch. And I would like to stress one of the advices by Michael Goldberg, that he stressed the importance of peak statement, which means P as profession. So who you are, what do you do, with whom, the expertise. So what are you expert in? The environment, which is always important. So target market you're interested in, and call to action, of course. So what do you want to achieve? As we all know, right now we are always online. So Twitter and LinkedIn are the online places to build up your profile. So you can join Twitter lists, or you can join LinkedIn groups to connect with women in your field. And you can, amplify the work of women in your network online, and be sure to tag them. This could be a little advice. Other women before me talk about this, which is get mentoring. So connect with a senior women, as their mentorship would not only help you to excel in your career, but also they create a kind of foundation of available professional network, and also to get you more visibility. Another important thing is to of course building self-confidence. And I wish that there are a kind of, definitive steps to build self-confidence and self-esteem. But I don't think that exists a kind of particular or a unique way to build our self-confidence. But there are a number of things that we can do that can, really rise up our profile. The first one is the mindset. So it has been said that self-confidence is what you think about yourself, and self-esteem is what you think others think of you. So to build self-confidence, it's important to focus on your stress, focus on your achievements, radiate optimism, general happiness. I always say that people who are very attractive are those who are perceived as warm, and shy away from those who are perceived as cold. And so the self-confident person is usually described as a warm person, as a very optimistic person. And dress and grooming, these are very, tangible signals to others about how you feel about yourself. Another important thing is stand tall. So researchers have shown that when someone stands tall in a position of strength, their inner feelings begin to change. So it's always important, for example, facial expressions that can communicate important messages, and they need to be consistent with words being said. Another important advice that I would like to stress is always don't be afraid to speak up about ourselves, because men do it all the time. So have an opinion, which is always important. Have questions, make comments. Don't be afraid to share them on social media and meetings or events. That way you get recognized by event organizer and journalist who will more likely remember for other next event or media interview. Another important is think about strategic self-marketing to the long term. So where do I want visibility? So choose, networks, events, publishing outlets, organizations that carefully, really improve your strengths. You should be prepared to to sometimes attend events or meetings. So if only to speak up and be recognized, it's very important. So always remain true, always remain yourself, always remain authentic, and enable others.
We have last 1 minute to wrap up your presentation, because we are running short of time.
So the last one is for me, enable others. So when organizing debates, pay attention to diversity, to inclusion. And of course, if you see an event that you would like to speak at, research the organizers, research the themes. So simply send a proposal to speak. There is nothing wrong with self-invitation. So be always proactive and reactive. And don't hesitate to use your networks, of course, to speak in referrals.
Thank you so much, Agnes. In fact, you shared some really useful tips of networking, and like you stated that of course there are many means to network other than traditional ways, and I think of late LinkedIn has become very important and crucial tool to connect and network with people, and you have a choice to connect with professionals there. You have range of professionals there, and it not only helps you in seeking job and making relationship, but it also helps you building your brand over there. So thank you so much, Agnes, for sharing these tips with us. You stay with us, we will get back to you in the end. So let me go ahead with the flow of our event. And as one of the biggest challenges with women professionals that we have often seen is to strike balance between work and life. Majority of the working women experience job spillover into the home, as they have to put in longer hours. So having a thriving career and a blissful family life both together, sometimes it sounds like a fallacy. Is it a fallacy, or it can become a reality? To talk about it, we have an amazing speaker who is joining us from Netherlands, Caroline Nelson, who is co-founder of On Purpose Studio and organizational psychologist, behavioral scientist, and former managing director of Innovation Booster Southeast Europe in Athens, Greece. So over to Caroline. Caroline, can you hear us?
Yes. Thank you so much, Rajni. Thank you for having me. Thanks for the introduction. I hope you can hear me, everyone.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. I see some thumbs up. That's good. So first of all, thank you for having me, and it's great to be in an event with so many inspiring women together, exchanging insights and ideas. So I'm happy to be a part of it. And I like the topic work-life balance is something that I love a lot. And let me start with 3 points just to clear the air when it comes to work-life balance. So I think the first one's really important. It's never perfect, right? It's never finished. There's nothing like finding balance, like one point you found it and that's it. It's a continuous quest and checking in with yourself and your needs and the world around you. We change, our environment changes. So don't strive for the perfect balance. That's the first one. Secondly, even a habit that's supposed to be good for us can cause stress. I think we all recognize this one when we try to put another habit on our to-do list, which is already too full, and then we don't do it. For example, reading that book, taking some time to meditate, doing a workout, whatever, and it doesn't happen. And then we feel frustrated and we go into self-blame and why don't you make time for this and da. And that's also not the way to go, right? I think it's more harmful for your health and stressful to go into that self-blame than to go for that walk. So I think a more kind way of talking to ourselves is crucial. And thirdly, looking from my background is psychology and behavioral sciences, and a lot what is written about habits is much from the perspective of control, of punishment, reward, self-discipline. And that if you fail to do something, there's something wrong with your motivation or your self-discipline. And I don't really believe that this perspective, this paradigm is solid for conscious change or lasting change. I believe much more in building trust with yourself gradually, being clear on your intention, why you do it, and focus on an area of self-love rather than self-discipline. So, in short, I'll just tell you now, there's not one solution, as you probably all know. And there's not this one trick, but understanding yourself is the trick. Because we're all different. And I think the most rebellious act we can do these days is to pause. To take time to pause, to stand still, to breathe, and to create space. To get in touch with what it is we really need. Because we're often always busy, on to the next thing, and it's never good enough, and it's always more. And I think that's a paradigm that is costing many of us, and especially women, because we feel we have to be everything, right? We have to be caring for this person, we have to prove ourselves professionally, we still have to look good, and there's a lot of pressure on us, and we have to be nice all the way. So I think just letting go of this pressure is a crucial aspect. Okay, that's just the first note that I want to share. And briefly, I want to share a short story. When I was the managing director at Innovation Booster, the way I was working wasn't working. So I thought, okay, I have a team, so I have to be at the office at 9 because the team's there. So I would be stuck in traffic, and then I would be there, and the team would interrupt me, so I couldn't do focused work. I would have lunch at 12 because that's common in the Netherlands. I would feel sleepy after I eat, and then be in meetings a bit sleepy. Then coming home, driving home again in rush hour, spending way too much time there, and arriving home thinking, I still need to finish that proposal or that other thing I need to do. So I would be working and eating at the same time. And then I need 2 hours to debrief from work after being able to fall asleep at 1, wake up at 7 and rush again. So this was the loop I was getting into, and that loop was getting worse and worse. I don't know if that sounds familiar to others. I don't know if you can raise your hand.
It does, it does, it does.
Right? And it's horrible. You can feel yourself go into this loop and you are like, oh, but it feels like you can't stop, like you can't pull the brakes. And that's when I didn't pull the brakes. So I got close to a burnout. So that was for me, the big smash in the face. Yeah, I need to change something. So conclusion was I wasn't consciously designing my day because, and I was actually a victim of my own schedule. And I think that is something we have a lot of us have. So how did I recover from that and how do I change it? And I want to share a presentation with you. Let me see if I can share the screen. Thank you. Yes. Okay. There we go. Great. Can you see it now?
Yeah, it's processing. Yeah, it's processing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now.
Okay. Okay. So what we do at the On Purpose Studio is we focus on being before doing. Because when we are stressed, when we are anxious, when we are feeling, not our best selves, we bring that into every interaction we do, the work we do. Everything we touch basically turns into something negative. And what I learned is it's better to do less, but have more impact because you focus first on you feeling good. And I don't know, there are many probably leaders joining today and entrepreneurs. And I know that from my own experience, you want to be there for your team. You always want to put them first. And I realized that making that time for putting yourself first is the most loyal thing you can do. Because if you are not doing well, the team's not doing well or the company. So then I decided to take ownership, responsibility, and said, okay, how am I going to design my day? There's a tool I developed a few years back from psychology. It's called the mood journey. When we ask other people, how are you doing? We say good. Actually, this answer is totally ridiculous because it's not really true. Our emotions go through a rainbow of emotions throughout the day. We shift from powerful to excited to angry to hopeless, go up and down. This is a tool to just help you be aware of what triggers your emotions throughout the day. So I use that tool also to design my day. And I looked at, okay, what is the time frame when I'm at my best and when am I at my worst? So I've always been a morning person. I always went to bed early. I woke up clock and then I'm focused. My mind is clear. So also when I was studying, I always studied in the morning. And I used to do that at work well until the team got bigger and I just stopped doing that. So my focused work when I have peace of mind is from 6 in the morning till 10. That's a window. Then I have a lot of energy from 11 to 3 or 4. After that, I always feel kind of tired. I have a dip. And after 9, don't ask me to solve any problems because I'm worthless. And then I said, okay, how can I design it accordingly? So instead of rushing to work in my most valuable time or my most valuable energy, I said, okay, I do my focused work first until 10 o'clock, 9 or 10, and then I go to work. So I wouldn't be at the office before 11 or at a meeting before 11. But when I did have meetings afterwards, I'm fully focused. So I noticed I needed less meetings because I was sharp, I was well prepared. When my team had questions, I could actually listen and not think like, oh, I need to finish this other thing, hurry up with your question. Just having those feelings. I decided to have lunch at 3. Also in Greece, that was more common, but for my schedule, I was always hungry most at 3. And after lunch, I'm always tired. So I just take a nap. I schedule my nap. So I do that, in the car or at home. I don't do it every day, but it's something that I notice that helps me a lot, especially afterwards when I open my laptop again. I'm much sharper. I can readjust things. I can plan things. And then I just have time, free time to spend with friends, family, do my sports, reading, and sleep 9 hours. That's something I really need. So I set an alarm at 8:30 in the evening as a reminder to myself to just go to bed, get ready for bed. And this really helped me to be more effective in the hours that I worked. Because how often do you have 3 or 4 hours of focused work without interruption? It's like a full workday.
Yeah.
So that worked for me really well. But it takes some to get to the point. One is the design and the other is sticking to it. I don't know, does this sound familiar to others?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I think it's something we all struggle with, and this is my example. It's not like you have to be a morning person because this is a successful way to do it. Every person is different. In different times of our lives, we are different because of our circumstances. So it's really about listening to yourself. So I wrote down some questions that you can ask yourself if this is a challenge for you. So how many hours of sleep do you need without an alarm? So sleep for a few nights without an alarm. See how many hours you need. I need about 9.5.
8.
Exactly, something like that. And then to decide what's the time you would like to get out of bed. Calculate back the time you need to sleep plus a half an hour. That's the time you need to go to bed. And then you'll never have to set an alarm in the morning.
Yeah.
That's the good trick. When in the day do you prefer to eat? So when do you naturally, are you hungry without looking at the time? When are you most focused? When do you have an energy dip? So looking at the schedule about designing your day, now that we're all working from home and all the day behind the laptop, if we have all day of Zoom meetings, that can be an energy dip as well. So being aware and scheduling that so you don't go past your reserves. What fuels you up? What helps you clear your head? Is it not just to read a bit, go for a walk, go for a run, call with a friend? Just to question yourself, what is it that you need? How much alone time versus social time do you need? We're all different in that. And I like a lot to be alone. I'm not often alone because of my family, but I really try to schedule time for that. And in the past month, towards a new product launch we were doing, I even booked an apartment for a week for myself, just to be alone with my thoughts, because you need it. Yeah, and I think that's something, it's great also to discuss that with the people around you, and that's not a weird thing. Yeah, so just to summarize a bit the key takeaways that I would like to share from my learnings, and it's just one person, right? And from the people that I've coached, but just invest time to understand yourself. So journaling your mood, knowing your needs. And as Elena, co-founder of On Purpose Studio, always says, put your hand on your heart, breathe 10 times, and ask, what is it that I need? Because your heart has its own brain, it has its own wisdom, and it knows very well what you need, sometimes better than the ongoing thoughts in your mind. Right. And to journal on that, just write it down, make notes, and to invest time to really understand yourself. The next step is to choose conscious change. So design your day, ideally. How would it look? How does it fit your energy peaks and lows? Then to promise yourself that you'll be your own best friend. So not to go into self-blame, but to encourage yourself. If it didn't happen, it's okay. How can I help you to make it easier tomorrow? Like, be supportive. And another one that I found is the most difficult is, setting clear boundaries and talking your walk. So sharing to the people around you, both your team, your partner, your kids, this is what I need, and I would like you to support me on that, because I like to be all together with a family, and it's hard for me to take the time alone, but I need it. Can you help me to remind me? So I think that's a really, really important one. And also with meetings, like if you know your best time is until 10 o'clock, it's blocked, share that. If someone wants to book a meeting, say, I do my focus work in the morning, I would love to meet after 10. I've never heard anyone say like, no. Of course, sometimes it's impossible, and that's okay. But I've noticed if you really explain why you do it, what's your intention behind it, people actually say, oh, that's a really good idea. I would like to do that too. So lastly, how to make it stick. I think the one thing that when we talk about habits and work-life balance, it's like, oh, I just need to have the motivation to change anything. So we're waiting for motivation. Motivation actually comes from after you do it. So it's really important, after you do something, you change something in your day, you did it, reflect on how you feel. Take a 10 seconds to reflect, how do I feel now? Because that's motivation to do it again the next day. And another powerful motivation is to reflect on how it affected others. So how did it affect your partner, your team, your kids, your company, the impact you made? Because those are things that our mind, we tend to forget, because our mind makes it smaller. It's like, oh, we don't matter that, I don't matter that much. So as time goes by, my mind tells stories that it's not that important for you to go for a run. That's how it goes. So journal it is a really powerful way to do that. Yeah. I don't know if there are any questions.
Okay, like you yourself said that it is not possible to put all pieces together to make life look like a perfect picture. And if we try to find all pieces of jigsaw puzzle and try to put them, if we are thinking of putting them in such a way that we feel kind of fulfilled or kind of satisfying our ego, probably we would be missing out on some part of our life, it looks like. So I think what I understand from your presentation, I totally agree that staying away from overbiting and setting right priorities wisely seems to be the key for a balanced life, when you can actually enjoy your professional life as well as your personal life. So please.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that I think it's really important to understand for yourself, like where to start. Where's the beginning? Which habit should I start with first? And when we are tired or stressed and we put another pressure on top, this is really counterproductive. So then it's time to manage the energy first. So that most often has to do with the amount of sleep, the food you have. Does it make you sleepy afterwards or feel tired?
Yes.
The people you are around. Like if there is someone in your social environment that's causing a lot of negativity and conflict, like
Yes.
to those three, to look at that area and see how you can restore your energy there first, and then add on new things. Yeah.
Yeah. Shreya, have we got any question for Caroline so far? Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
We've got questions which are open for all. Shall I take them
Shreya,
up?
just a minute. Just a minute. So, Caroline, can we request you? We have just one more last presentation. Will you be with us? We would appreciate it because we are going to take some questions, but we want to finish our presentation first. Yeah, thank you so much.
I just wanted to share one more slide. You know, if you want to know more about the Mood Journey tool, we've created this in a separate web page where you can find the full tool, explanation video, a guided meditation from Elena, and an exercise to get started. And it's on onpurpose.studio/women. And there you'll find all the information you need.
Surely, surely.
And that's it. So thanks a lot, and I hope it was useful. I'll stop sharing my screen.
No, it was very relatable and pragmatic, and we really appreciate you for your effort you have put in making these slides. And we could really relate, and we found it very, very interactive session. Thank you so much, and stay here, Caroline. Yeah. And now,
thanks so much.
Thank you so much. And now it's time.
I'll mute myself again.
Now it's time to welcome a very seasoned speaker to talk about mental health of women entrepreneurs and professionals, Vicky Klimi, who is Chief Empowerment Officer of Grandmama, with over 20 years of experience in leadership, coaching, training, strategic management, and planning. So over to Vicky Klimi. Vicky Klimi, we welcome you wholeheartedly. Thank you so much for waiting for your turn so patiently. We really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be inside this team with all those inspired women. And I would like to also to thank Shreya, and of course my dear friend Caroline, who inspired me here in Greece. And she was the reason I started to learn audiobooks during driving, or even when I do my sports. And to tell you the truth, it was something that changed my life in the aspect that I familiarized myself with the book. It's called The Code of Extraordinary Mind. So I started to think in an opposite way than I was thinking before. So thank you so much, Caroline. You did a very good job with me.
Thanks so much for your kind words, and I always love our discussions, and it opens my mind. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank all the women being here. Happy Women's International Day. I'm not sure the title had to be Women Back to Work, but rather than Children Back to Schools, because here in Greece we're still under stroke lockdown, and to tell you the truth, I'm getting out of my mind because I'm working from home. My son is doing his homework, his classes from home, and it's totally out of the work-life balance.
Universal story. It's a universal story now.
But anyway, I'm not sure I'm the perfect person to speak about mental health, but I will try to touch the subject from my point of view and from my readings. I did some research for this discussion, and also I put my thoughts. So for me, actually, mental health has to do a lot with work-life balance, as Caroline mentioned before, and at least I believe so. And to tell you the truth, that many people believe that there are two kind of people, the ones that they're mentally healthy and the other ones that they have mental illness. The truth, however, is that mental wellness it's a huge spectrum. Even those who are mentally healthy can still improve their mental wellness. Some have compared this to hygiene. I do believe that all of us want to have a good dental hygiene. Why not to have a good mental or emotional hygiene? So what I did, I wrap up 5 tips for you, and I would like to share it and discuss it. Firstly, we can try to understand the relationship between awareness and control over the mental wellness. So ask yourself, how much room do I have for added stress today? Be aware of the level of your picture, multiply times a day, morning, midday, and night. For example, if you're coming down with a cold, or if you are fighting with your spouse, or if your financial numbers at work are lower than expected, your picture is already 3/4 full and you have not even got out of the bed. Once you are aware of the level of your picture, identify what you are in control of and what you're not. By focusing on that, we're in control of accepting what we're not. We're able to make choices that improves our mood and maximizes our performance. So actually what we do, we choose what we need to put in our picture and what we don't want to put in our picture today. Another tip is to remind yourself that sleep, as Carlene said before, is an incredibly important factor to our sense of mental well-being. I remember during times of huge stress, I sleep usually at 12 o'clock, and I woke up around 2 o'clock in the morning thinking about business issues, personal issues, or even what is going on in Greece. Or, for example, the Greek economy that is struggling. So I was trying to sleep again, but I could do it around 6 or 6 something. So 6:20, my alarm was yelling at me to wake up. So it was a disaster. Next day in the job, I couldn't do anything or focusing or being Vicky. So maximize sleep by monitoring your activities during the day and making sure that you're receiving sunlight. If you're living in a country with lots of sun, just sunbathe yourself. Being active physically and mentally and stimulating your senses. What I do from time to time, especially now that I'm working from home, I stop for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and I go out. I do some exercise and then I come back in order to empty my mind from all these thoughts and to continue the day. Also, power naps are really powerful if you can do them. I mean, sleep for about 15 to 20 minutes again, it's really inspiring, and you can be back to business in a better shape. So also try to use your senses to ground yourself. I personally use this technique all the time. Stress likes us to either worry about the things that we have not yet happened or dwell on the things from the past. Peace, however, can only be felt in the present. Think about the 5 senses. What do you hear? What do you see? What do you smell? What do you taste? What am I touching? When you can stay present, you can reground to the moment and slow down your thinking. What I love most about this tool is that you can use it anytime and anywhere, and no one will ever know you're doing it. Oftenly, I hold a nice cup of tea. I choose my cups when I drink tea to be nice, very, delicate. And I get this cup of tea in my hands. I feel its warmth. I smell it before I taste it. I hold it a little bit more, and then I proceed with to taste it. I try to understand the flavors, and suddenly it's like traveling. You know, all the smells, all this, the what you see, the image, the warmth that you feel, it travels you, and it gives you a break. Let's say during the day. Another tip is to identify your emotions and name them. For example, if your child calls you into his or her room and explains or her fears, what she hears, that she hears something in the closet, do you, in order to ease his mind, think of saying, whatever you do, don't open that closet door and look. Now imagine the next day, the next night, when he tries to go asleep. Do you think that door still closed shut eases his mind? Of course, once you tell the child it is okay and you're going to open the closet door, the fear subsidies. This is exactly the opposite of what we tell ourselves as stressed adults, trying to confront anxieties and fears. Remember, the best thing you can do is open the emotional closet and just begin writing down your thoughts and feelings. Once they are out of your mind, you will be able to look at them objectively and come up with the strategies to deal with them. This is really important. And last but not least, pay attention to the messages you send yourself. Think of your thoughts like a radio station. Then ask yourself, if you were listening to this channel, how do you think you would be feeling? If you were sending yourselves messages of self-doubt, negativity, or worry, then we will feel that way in our lives. It is in our control to change the radio station to something that is sending messages of strength, hope, and positivity. By simply changing the messages we hear, we can dramatically change our sense of well-being. I know it's not very easy, and sometimes it looks very hard, but to tell you the truth, I even forget these things. But I press myself to have them during the day because it helps me to have this mental health in a good, in a good place in my mind. So try to find what makes you happy, what makes you feel balanced, and also something that leaves the stress out of the room. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing these thoughts with you. And I hope one day we will meet all together in a physical place.
Indeed, indeed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing these wonderful thoughts with us. And I'm feeling really pleased to meet you after a long time. It's been really a long time since we met. So thank you so much, Vicky. It's good to see you. And we have got some intriguing questions by participants, and we still have some time left. So if we can take up questions, Shreya, can we take up some questions?
Yes, we have a question for, I think, Caroline. Problems arise when your mood is not coinciding with your needs. What you need to do at that time, what to do in such cases. You can read the question once in the chat box as well. It's the last question.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And I think this is something very common, right? Our short-term decision making can be, not in line with our long-term decision making, what's actually good for us. I think when we notice that our mood is blocking us and telling us stories or telling ourselves stories, no, it's not really, you don't really need it. Just stay on the sofa or just keep working. You don't need a break. But when I hear myself say, like, I don't have time for a break, that's for me a cue that, okay, I need to pause. Or when I react more fanatic or angry than I would like. That's a reason for me to pause. So in such moments, the exercise Vicky just described, that feeling the senses, is a great one, a great way to pause and to get out of that story in your mind and to reconnect with your breath and with your heart and to say, what is it I really need?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Shreya, do we have
Yes.
other questions? Yeah.
Yes, we have one more question. And the question is, can anyone tell the difference between feminism and women empowerment? I often get confused between the two. We have a question from one of our viewers. This is open to all speakers. Anyone can answer this question. Who would like to go first?
Maybe I can give it a very short go.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, I mean, the principle of feminism is really to question the fact that society as we know it in most of our countries is based on patriarchy, so led by men. So that is a more fundamental approach to the question. And it has been mentioned today, for some things to change, you really need sometimes to change regulation, you need to change the laws, you need to change structure within companies and within society. Women empowerment is part of it, to go to the way of having a feminist society. You need to empower women to be active in companies, to be active in politics. So women empowerment is a subsection of this whole topic of feminism.
Right.
Thank you so much, Patricia. We really appreciate you being here till the end. And thank you so much. Do we have any other quick questions, Shreya?
We have a question for Zubika. Is she here?
Okay, or I think even Florenta can also take up if Florenta is here. Or,
okay. Right. So the question is, how can I start a career in cybersecurity without experience?
Okay, so do we have Florenta here? Do we have Zubika here? Okay, we can always pose them this question. And
yes.
Okay. Any other interesting question? We still have 3-4 minutes left.
Okay, let me see. So there's one question. What about unpaid internships? Women are often offered unpaid internships. So should we take them or not? I mean, what is your say? This is open to all.
Anybody would love to reflect on this?
I would like to reflect on that. I think when I started my career, I did a lot of things without being paid because I understood that if you want, it's easy for people or for even a big establishment to give you something to do when they don't need to pay you. You can get experience for that. In a certain time, you have to say, okay, that's enough and I need to start earning money. But for experience, I think it's always a good thing to do if you have the time, of course.
Right. Right. Okay. I think Agnes want to answer the question that I just asked before this. How can I start a career in cybersecurity without experience, right? Agnes can answer. Agnes, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Yes.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So that's a big question. So the first thing that I would like to suggest is to investigate, because when it comes to entering this field, it's important to understand the numerous roles available to an inspiring cybersecurity professional. So obtaining this knowledge will give you the ability to align yourself better with the role that you wish to obtain, but also understand any requirements you may need to fulfill, to give yourself a better chance at securing a role. So a simple Google search will give you a lot of information regards the role. Simply searching for cybersecurity roles will leave you overwhelmed with the number of different roles, but understanding what you would like to do will be beneficial. And I would like also to suggest that there are, job boards and websites that will allow you to understand what the role entails and the potential requirements needed for the role. So the information found can be useful when planning your studies, because you can quickly get an idea of what knowledges and skills are required, and you can, just adjust your roadmap to the findings. You can always use LinkedIn, because thousands and thousands of professionals use LinkedIn, and I recommend reaching out to some of them to find how they got into the industry and how they get their, how to get their advice on what to look for. So this can be especially powerful when engaging with people in your desired role. And join groups, of course. So a lot of social media sites have groups dedicated to cybersecurity, and in some cases, cybersecurity careers. There are great places to understand the industry, get an insight into what is requested, and there are also lots of mentorship programs that you can join too. And a bonus, is the ability to network with industry professionals and increase, of course, also your network.
Thank you so much, Agnes. Thank you so much. And with this, we come to the end of the event. And I would love to give one opportunity to all speakers. If they want to say anything in the end, we would love to hear before we wrap up the session. Anybody has any feedback, any suggestion, any point, any perspective?
I want to say that you have to organize all of us to a real project. So, of course, so we can meet each other, and I think we can do together. Of course, women together always can do great things, but the power we have here that you gathered is something we can move the mountains if we want, and we couldn't do it with these women, amazing women. I'm honored to meet you.
I would like to praise your initiative, Rajni, and I think it was a learning experience. I think we should continue this network with women from different parts of the world, because I strongly believe together we can be stronger and we can learn and collaborate. So thank you so much.
Indeed, Raisa, and thank you so much for these lovely words. And we would definitely love to organize more and more such meetings, which are more meaningful and more fruitful for women entrepreneurs, or related to any issues or challenges that often women faces across the world. Thank you so much for your kind words. So this has indeed been a very insightful learning session for all of us. As an individual, I found this whole session very relatable and fruitful, as it transported me back to my journey after 7 years of sabbatical. I could literally connect myself with the thought process of each and every speaker. So thank you so much to all speakers, all participants, to be here to make for making this session so lively and worth. Thank you so much once again. Yes, good night. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Good night.
Namaste. Good night.
Thank you, Rajni.
Thank you. Good evening. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon from Brazil. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you.